Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You could follow us on X, YouTube, and DigPerspectives.com for exclusive content at the top of the screen. Right now, we are at $3.76 trillion market cap for crypto. Look, we're knocking on 4 trillion's door here collectively for crypto. So don't lose sight of that. Right now, the market's off 3.7%, but that hasn't stopped Bitcoin from holding 118,000 plus. Ethereum's holding 2,900 plus right now. XRP back at the number 3 spot. We're 278. Now we're off by 0.8 on the 24-hour, but we're still up by 22% on the 7-day. Loving that for all of us. Now let's take a look here at the range of price. The range of price between 267 and 281. So we saw it go all the way up to 281 in the last 24. And we're at 279 right now. So look, XRP has been strong like bull, ladies and gentlemen. So head on a swivel out here, and rightfully so. Chad Steingraber says it well right here. When it triggers, billions can flood within hours. I've shown you this all week. He's absolutely right. And a lot of that action was coming from over in Korea, and I mean in a very big way. And he also highlighted this is ODL, not retail, right? So big things are happening very quickly. This guy does a good job here. I don't know if it's Happy Daddy or if Happy Daddy's just sharing who this guy is. I'm not really sure, but shout out to this guy. He does a great job like giving a real overview of where we are for this bull run of 2025. Take a listen to this clip and we'll move forward here.
So the bull run started, and this is just the start. Let's consider the dominoes. Brad Garlinghouse from Ripple decided out of nowhere that they are going to close their appeals in the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, as well as the SEC was going to close their own appeal. After years and years of battle, they just decided out of nowhere that they were just going to call it quits. Seems weird, right? Like, they hit the tiniest speed bump. They could have followed through, gotten the injunction removed, and I'm fairly certain that would have happened. But they decided to call it quits right now. Why? It's almost like they knew dominoes were falling and they have other priorities right now. And that's exactly what it is. They knew the bull run was starting because it's written in the stars. ISO 20022 goes live on July 14th. All the crypto legislation will go live that same week, now dubbed Crypto Week. The Genius Act, the Clarity Act, the Anti-CBDC Act, clear rules for the road. Where before, the path to having a future in crypto was like having bouncers at the door called the SEC, the CTFC, and DOJ, and they just waited for institutions to try to enter so they can beat them up. But after Crypto Week, the doors will be open, and where there was once bouncers, there will be greeters, and everyone's going inside. Ripple knows this. Things are going to move fast. Once regulation is clear and passed, we are watching the start of a crypto race. The chains are off, and with regulation, every institution is going to be trying to beat every other institution in that race for crypto adoption. I think the following years are going to be compared to the dot-com boom. Maybe it will be called the crypto boom. Who knows? But the trading volume for RLUSD has already increased by 150%. And as I've always said, when the bull run hits, the greedy are going to cash in on the bull traps. These are the people who don't believe in XRP. These are bull traps, my fam. I'm here forever. And if you believe in Ripple, you see these traps as well.
There you have it right there. Look, really great points that he makes in the video, and I want to build on those just for the point. We do have Crypto Week starting tomorrow, the Clarity Act, the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, the Genius Act. And we also know that there's also a tax bill that's being worked on right now for crypto as well. So let's take a look at this. Now, we've all seen these, but I'm just showing you, look, we're at 278 right now. And all of this great news still needs to happen. And it's going to be the price affecting kind of news we're looking for, that we've waited years for. Yeah. Happy Sunday, because because that's the road we're on, ladies and gentlemen. 17 XRP spot ETFs waiting for approval. And we certainly know it's been rumored heavily that BlackRock will be joining that party, making it 18 or 19 or 20, whatever it is today. But a lot of them are sitting on the sidelines. Each one of these will be vacuum cleaners sucking up XRP into a qualified custodian to properly back each one of these when they're approved. Remember this, the SEC just released last week that they're changing the rule from a 240-day waiting period for approval of an of spot ETFs to 75 days. So now not only do we have a lot of them waiting, new ones that will be coming will take less time to bring to market. Oh, yeah. Oh, this gets better. And then again, highlighting Fed's ISO Big Bang cutover this week, starting tomorrow, July 14th. Is it going to affect price? I don't know the answer. My first knee-jerk reaction is no. And in fact, maybe the price goes down. That's been that's if you've been here long as I've been here, you know that that's exactly the right way to feel about it, even though we know ultimately where we're going. But the reality is that, yes, this is a changeover. This is a switchover, and it is amazing. And just because they're going to that standard doesn't mean that it will be price affecting right away. However, I'm pretty sure it's fair for me to say that I speak for all of us when we won't be saying we won't be upset if it does happen to move price in the right direction. I think all of us would be very happy about that. And then you have, obviously, Ripple applying to become a bank. I think this is a major step into bringing together and tying together their acquisition with Hidden Road. I think it also moves the conversation we've been having for years and years and years on this channel that Ripple could become a bank. And we've been talking about this ever since we found Miguel Villas's video from back in 2018, 17 or whatever it was. And then we found it in 2018, 2019. So we've been talking about this whole Ripple becoming a bank potentially for a long time, a lot of years. And now it's actually happening. Think of it for a moment. And I don't see this as just a national trust bank. I think they obviously get the Fed master account too. And I believe Ripple becomes like the Fed 2.0 in the new digital on-chain economy. That's what I see happening here. Issuing a lender of last resort of XRP and also becoming an issuer, as they have, of real USD, the digital version of the US dollar. Now, I know that there's other stable coins, but there's a reason that Ripple is holding back and using real USD largely for enterprise and institutional clients. And they're loading up as we speak. Again, ISO 20022, it's tomorrow during crypto week while the other bills are being pushed through. This could be a really, really historic week. Again, I see this as all being one giant coordinated motion and effort. I don't find it to be an exclusive event that the Ripple case is sitting out here waiting to end. I've always felt like it was a placeholder decision. And never forget that Stuart Alderati said historic institutional sales. He referenced that the sales in question were from the beginning of Ripple up to 2018. Nothing after 2018 is a part of the judgment. That's why I believe that they don't care about going any further with the case, because I think it only applied to previous sales up to 2018. And I think that's why Stuart used the phrase historic institutional sales, old sales, not new ones. I think they've got it worked out already. And the reason I think they got it worked out already, and the reason I also believe that the good things will come from the FedNow connection from Ripple, is because we know Europe is using the XRP ledger. The ECB is piloting their digital currency on the XRP ledger. There are 2 Europe stable coins already on the XRP ledger.
That's where RippleNet starts to play into this. So essentially it's Ripple that has the plug and the potential lead on being able to participate in the digital euro. And with that being said, you have to look at the Digital Euro Association, which is also partnered with Ripple. Their statement right here was Digital Euro is delighted to announce a partnership with Ripple, supporting partner jointly working on the CBDCs and Ripple. So again, this could be interesting as we start to see this play out. If in fact they are concerned that the United States could be taking the lead on the global scale, and of course you've got Christine Lagarde and the EU looking at that. You look at what's happening on the RLUSD front, and of course you have to look at the acceleration of RLUSD. This was back in early January when it first hit, and it already had started to take and move up the ranks in terms of volume, and that may have been what started to get the attention of the EU and said, hey, we got to get moving on all this.
And remember, you know, the Digital Euro Association was put together by the European Central Bank. That's who put all of that together. And I just played this yesterday, but I want to play this again for you because I have something else I want to remind everybody of today. And I think you'll enjoy it. But let's listen to Mark Yusko right here.
The one piece of legislation that is likely to happen, the other stuff, there's a lot of talk that they'll expand beyond just Bitcoin to now, XRP and Cardano and Hedera. And look, those founders have been buddying up to the administration and to Eric, and I think Eric's driving a lot of this, his son.
So there's not that they're actually valuable or they have any real ability, right? It's just they've been buddying up. That's how they're getting this look at these other protocols. It's not that they actually have a real value. He is so reluctant and so begrudgingly giving this information. It makes me sick.
So we'll see. But the case for the strategic Bitcoin reserve, because Bitcoin is digital gold, everything else has different roles. Something that could happen, I don't know if it'll happen the first 100 days, Abs, but there's some talk. This will make the XRP people really happy.
Yeah, it's very difficult for him. But Mark, I am very grateful that you're saying it because we all know it's true.
There is some talk that XRP could be utilized and or ordered to be used for a central bank digital currency or as the base layer for national banking. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but that's one that if that does happen, that changes things. It's kind of like
it changes things, all right. Especially when you think about not only a national payment layer, but I believe XRP will be adopted as a domestic U.S. national payment layer. I also believe it'll be adopted as an international payments layer as well, right? And then we have this reminder that this is how big this is. It's not just nations. It's not just in the United States, I should say.
Helpful about our products and our technology solutions and being in the fintech space, and we're helping with the blockchain narrative and explaining how that works to policymakers. So that's something that we're actively engaged in with 50 governments around the world, and I think that the regulators are hearing.
50 governments around the world, is it, Michelle? Over 5 years ago. That's how long we've known that. And remember this not too long ago? Back in March of this year, when Watcher Guru came out and just in, Swift nearing an agreement with Ripple to use XRP for cross-border payments with billions of XRP secured in escrow as liquidity reserves. And then all of a sudden, they pulled the tweet 2 minutes later and said that they were hacked. I've never in all my years on social media seen anyone get hacked and get their account back in 2 minutes. And if you remember, it wasn't just them. It was also Binance that simultaneously shared the information as well. People seem to have forgotten very quickly that the agreement between Ripple and Swift to use XRP for cross-border payments was announced early by mistake. Maybe the official announcement is closer than we think. Once this is announced, XRP will overtake Bitcoin. I think that is absolutely right. And I don't say that as a maxi. I say that because it is just a mathematical fact if this is going to be something that comes to fruition. And I do believe something like it is going to come to fruition myself personally, but it's not, I don't have anything to base it on. I do like how Unknown DLT highlights here for all Chainlink fans. It equals data for smart contract oracles. XRP equals liquidity and international payments cross-currency bridge. See, this is what it means to have multiple different protocols serving different roles. Just like we have multiple protocols that make up the experience of the internet right now. File translation protocol, SMTP for email, HTTP for websites. All these protocols combine to give one experience. People, supposedly 4 different accounts have been hacked, and on 2 different ones, BitTrue and Watcher Guru. The announcement is not official yet, but it is clear that it was a mistake, not a hack. That's how I saw that, is that it was a mistake. It was an early release, and I don't believe it was a hack. I still don't, but I can't prove it. But remember when Patrick Bet-David ran with it right back in March too? Remember that? It got a hold of him too.
One is the SEC lawsuit.
Hold on.
He decides to, all of a sudden, they replace SWIFT. Let's say that happens. If XRP replaces SWIFT and FedNow, you know what happens? Let me give you some numbers here. XRP's ledger processes transactions in 3 to 5 seconds at nearly no cost, making it significantly faster and cheaper than SWIFT. So, SWIFT processes $5 trillion daily, or 1.25 quadrillion annually. If you didn't know what that was, quadrillion annually, SWIFT. If XRP captures 5 to 10% of volume, let's just say 10% of volume, $125 trillion annually, the demand for XRP, by the way, it could be any of these other technologies we're talking about. Analysts estimate that a $10 trillion market cap could push XRP's price to $100 per token with full replacement potentially driving it up to $1,000. Now, who those analysts are, I'm willing to bet those analysts own Ripple. And that's why they're writing this. Hey, analysts, just because I say analyst says, it doesn't mean they're 100% right, but yeah, it is a way of looking at what could happen with this. If this were to happen, it's a big deal. Now, the roadblock that they have are a couple things. One,
we know what the roadblocks are, and they're all out of the way. Ali says, when you zoom out on the XRP, it's hard not to go all in. A weekly close above $3 could set the stage for a rally to $6 or even higher. So a weekly close above $3. Now we're close to $3, and we need to get a weekly close above. So there we'll have it right there. So now I still love Eggrag Crypto's breakdown of the last 3 pumps that we've seen and where we could potentially go today, right? This is where we're at. Our different cycles we could be in. We could see $11, $20, or $30 soon. Ultimately, I'm here for the $100,000, $10,000 XRP. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. But isn't it exciting that we could be very close to seeing new all-time highs and potentially earth-shattering news that, in fact, that SWIFT news is actually real? And watching the implication on XRP's price after that is going to be epic. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.